Holocaust. You called it Holocaust.
Yes.
How?
When the coup came up, it was jubilation all over the streets in Kaduna. People were jubilating.
Called the first coup a revolution.
A revolution.
Why was it a
I
revolution?
don't agree with those people who tag Nzogo revolution as Igbo revolution.
You know,
They made an alliance with the party of Akintola. That was, I was telling that the ruling party wanted to extend their political tentacle to capture power in the West. Revolution is a revolution, whether people are from the same place, provided you have the same mind to remove those in power. It doesn't matter at all. Zogu was given that national honor. So he was a hero. Look at how they left the north in chaos. How many of them became presidents of this country from northern part of the country? Look at the poverty there. At alarming rate, what or not, we rule. Our people govern for almost 20-something years. But what have we gotten from the north? Poverty and squalor. Abject poverty in the north.
why did you join the army to fight Biafra?
And I reminded Nigeria that they could have harnessed the resources, human resources, the scientific evolution that took place in Biafra to shape the scope of our military department.
In your book, you mentioned Biafran armored vehicle called Red Devil.
The Red Devil.
You saw it in action.
I don't think such a thing will happen in this country again. I don't think any sensible person who witnessed the Holocaust of the war will talk about any war. About the politicians. Have they learned any lesson? It's sad, very sad indeed. Our politicians have never learned any lesson at all about the war.
Nzogu's coup speech was talking about those who collect 10%.
10%.
Good for nothing VIP.
Yes.
And they got angry and struck.
Yeah, they struck. Saying here now that if Nigeria continue to deny leadership to Igbo people, then this country will not move forward.
Fought with the 3rd Marine Commando.
Exactly.
Led by Colonel Benjamin Adekunle, the Black Scorpion.
Yes.
Why was he called the Black Scorpion?
I said the war was prolonged because Adekunle did not pay attention to the welfare of the soldiers. After the war, we did not get anything. We did not get anything. When Obasanjo was posted to us, and he was touring the trenches of the 12th Brigade at Aba, Purple Hill, he came to the trench where we were, and we quickly planned to take him out.
I have a war veteran with me. We have come to walk down history lane. We have come to reflect. It's about understanding where we are coming from and then look into the future. My guest is Peter Faruna Salifu, WO2 retired. Old soldier, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you so much, Obilo.
How are you?
Fine.
You are 77.
77 years old.
Yeah. And you still remember your days as a soldier.
Exactly.
In fact, one thing I like about your memories is that you have decided to put pen to paper.
Exactly.
To tell your stories. You have a new book.
Exactly.
Entitled The Holocaust of the Nigeria-Biafra War.
Exactly.
1967 to 1970. My memories from the war front. The Holocaust. You called it Holocaust.
Yes.
How?
Because the war was devastated, very, very destructive war that we fought, that consumed lives, destroyed property. That was why I gave that, my book, that title.
Holocaust.
Holocaust.
Who committed the Holocaust?
Well, both sides, Nigeria and Biafrans.
Your new book, you made a very strong argument in chapter 2 of the book.
Yes.
Saying that the Igbos did not cause the war.
Yes.
Who caused the war?
The cause of that war, if we look at it closely, and through my intensive research, I discovered that that war was caused by the revengeful counter-coup of Major Murtala Mohammed, July 29, 1966. You see, that coup brought about hardship to Igbo people. The coup was a coup of revengeance. Through my research, I equally discovered that the killings of July 29, 1966 can be referred to a massacre of Igbo people. The senseless killing, it to say Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon stemmed the degeneration of that killing into Igbo program. There could have no be war at all, the civil war at all. But that coup, mass killing, snowball into Igbo program that brought about the war, ignited the war itself. That is my opinion. There's no other way you can look at it. That is the truth of the matter. And that's my strong belief. It was not the Ndiogu revolution, 1966 revolution, that was erroneously believed to be the person who caused the war, nor Igbo as a whole, nor Ojukwu as a whole. But the war was caused by that 1966, July 1966 coup.
You are an Igala man from Kogi State.
I'm from the north.
You are not an Igbo man.
I'm not an Igbo man. I'm not from the south.
You joined the Nigerian Army in 1967.
I joined the Nigerian Army in 1967.
The pogrom you are talking about took place in 1966.
In 1966.
You were in Kaduna then.
I was a living witness.
What did you see?
I saw so many things. I was there working at one of the textile industry at Kakuri, Kaduna, when the first coup was staged by Major Kaduna Nzogu. When the coup came up, it was jubilation all over the street in Kaduna. People were jubilating. And they were happy about that coup that took place. Because if you see how that coup came up, there were some events going on. The corruption, and nepotism. People disliked those things, and the crisis that came up in the Western region during 1965 election as a result of the ruling class trying to extend their political tentacle to cover the West. So it resulted to using talks to snatch away boxes. There was naked rigging of election that degenerated into almost anarchy in the West. So the riot in the West, which was popularly referred to as Operation Weti, where mass people were killed, was going on. The Prime Minister was helpless to quell the situation, and this created an avenue for the military people to take over.
And,
and
you said there were jubilations in the street of Kaduna.
Yes,
when Nzogu and co struck. But why would they jubilate when Ahmadu Bello, their leader, was killed in that coup?
Because of the happenings, the political happenings during that time. People were disenchanted with the level of corruption going on among the ruling class. The nepotism was going on. And it came to a level where vote did not count. In our nascent democracy in the Fourth Republic. So people were not happy.
Who did you see jubilating? Were they northerners?
The masses.
Or southerners in Kaduna?
Masses of the people.
Did you jubilate?
Yes, I did.
You welcomed the coup?
I thought it was a relief, a big relief. I thought it was a big relief.
In your first book, this book?
Yes.
This is your first book?
Exactly.
About the war?
Yeah.
You titled the book, The Bloody Nigerian-Biafra War.
Exactly.
You called the first coup a revolution.
A revolution.
Why was it a revolution?
It was a change in government. Change in government.
In this book, it's like you celebrated the first coup.
I celebrated it. If you look at the personality of those who staged the coup, the January coup, 1966, they were radicals, element, well read. Look at the life of Nzogu, Cardinal Nzogu. He was widely read with the school of Marxist philosophy, and he was vast in military history. So he was a radical socialist officer who wanted a change of government. He wanted a change of government. They wanted to clean up the government, the First Republic, because they saw that that government of Baliwa was not working. It was not working. So they wanted to uproot it. So that was why Sadana was killed. Sadana was the leader of the party, NPC, who stayed in Kaduna. Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister who controlled the apparatus at the federal level. So Anuyo wanted to change this rotten apparatus. So they became targets. Two of them became targets of the revolutionaries.
You also made the point in your first book.
Yes.
That it was not an Igbo coup.
No, it's not an Igbo coup. It's not an Igbo coup. Because I disagree with those people who have been lying that Ujogu coup was an Igbo coup. Some of them are even arguing that because only Ademoyega, Major Ademoyega, who is a Yoruba major, if not the whole 8 of them were Igbos. That was the premise they look at it from. And it was a wrong premise. You see, a revolution is a revolution. Whether people are from the same place, provided you have the same mind to remove those in power, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all. I don't agree with those people who tag Nzogu revolution as Igbo revolution.
You know, some would say that the killings were targeted towards certain regions. Mm-hmm. Why another region was excluded from the killings. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the region that was excluded from the killing, the eastern region, most of the officers that carried out that coup came from that region or close to it. So they have defined that coincidence as an Igbo coup.
Not even coincidence. You can't say it's coincidence.
Okay.
It's a reality. The revolutionary wanted to change the government. Who were the people who were holding the apparatus of the government? The ruling class, the ruling party. Salifu was the head of the party. He stayed in Kaduna. If you want to change that government without eliminating the Sarana, do you think that government that coup will succeed? That was why they became target of the revolutionaries.
What about Akintola?
Akintola was, yes, Akintola. You see what happened was that they made an alliance with the party of Akintola. That was, I was telling you that the ruling party wanted to extend their political tentacle to capture power in the West. And it deteriorated to crisis, serious crisis. You see, so Western region became a problematic region that must be dealt with. The Prime Minister, Tafawa Balewa, who supposed to use his power to quell the situation in the West, refused. So when Uyo came up, they wanted to bring peace in the Western region. Even when they are talking about Igbo coup, I always laugh at them. When you say that it was an Igbo coup, who was the person who was the mark to become the prime minister? Was it Okpara in the east? Was it Azikiwe, who had no power, who was a titular president general? It was Awolowo from the west. Then what type of interest the revolutionary wanted to protect? If they call it an Igbo coup, picking somebody from the west to become the prime minister. So they had a national interest, not an Igbo interest at all.
You sound as if Nzogu is your hero.
Yes, he's my hero. He's my hero. Up till now, he's my hero. He's my hero.
Otsoja, you're saying that?
Yes. And because if he's not a hero, he's a nationalist. Nzogu was a nationalist to the core. You see, people, all these politicians are talking from their both sides of their mouth. When Nzogu was killed in July 1967 around the campuses of Nsukka University in the night by 21 Battalion under Captain Wushishi. They recognized his body and they informed Gowon ordered them to remove the body to Kaduna for a befitting burial, national burial. He was given that national honor. Nzogu was given that national honor. So he was a hero. And when people talk about Igbo coup, I always laugh at them.
If you are interested in understanding the man Nzogu, I am recommending this book to you, Nzogu by Olusegun Obasanjo. It seems to be the only one who has taken time to give us a biography of Kaduna Nzogu. So this is one book that is revealing about the person of Nzogu. And Warrant Officer Peter Salifu, retired, seems to admire Nzogu a lot. So you can get this book on udarabooks.com, or you can order it through our WhatsApp numbers. So the numbers are on the screen. The Nzogu coup led to a counter coup.
Yes.
The counter coup was followed by a pogrom.
A program.
And your second book, entitled The Holocaust of the Nigeria-Biafra War, dwells on that Holocaust.
Yes.
In fact, on the pogrom in chapter 2.
Yes.
You make the point that you identified the officers that led the counter coup.
Yeah.
Muhammadu Buhari was one of them.
Muhammadu Buhari.
Babangida,
Abacha,
Murtala Mohammed,
T.Y. Danjuma.
And some of them eventually became heads of states.
4 of them.
Is there something special about the caliber of that team?
If you examine that coup and the enthronement of these people as head of state, military head of state, you realize that these people were the people who entrenched ethnicity into Nigerian politics.
How do you mean?
Yes. Right from there, if you look at Buhari regime, there's no doubt that you can call that regime anti-ethnicity. He encouraged ethnicity and other vices. You see, that is why if you look closely, the Murtala Mohammed coup and how 4 of them became head of the military government in Nigeria subsequently, they wanted to protect their own interests, not the interest of the masses. Not the interest of the masses. And
not the interest of the North?
Not the interest of the North. Well, which North? Look at how they left the North in chaos. How many of them became president of this country from northern part of the country? Look at the poverty there at alarming rate. Look at the insecurity in the North, the banditry, the Boko Haram, and maybe probably a week ago they said they have discovered another group again from Sokoto.
Yeah.
Coming up again. Go to North. We rule. Our people govern for almost 20-something years. But what have we gotten from the North? Poverty and squalor. Abject poverty in the North. Nothing.
You live in the North.
I still live in the North.
You came all the way
from the North
to Ibadan. For this interview.
Yes. Despite my age of being 77 years old.
Why were you so interested?
I know, because I want to correct those errors. A lot of people are talking so much in the social media, trying to act or to distort history. They wanted to distort history. So I want to put down the truth of the matter.
You make the argument that the counter-coup led to the Civil War.
Yes.
You've also said that the counter-coup was a revenge coup.
Yeah, a revenge coup.
That means to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yes.
The counter-coup was a reaction to the January coup.
Yes.
So if you are saying the counter-coup led to the Civil War, will I be right to also say that because the January coup led to the counter-coup, so the Civil War can also be linked to the January coup?
But how can you link it? The counter-coup to January coup. They had their own interests at heart.
Because the counter-coup came because there was a January coup.
But look at the killings. Look at the killings. The counter-coup, the target of the counter-coup were the ruling class, 2 civilians from the North. 2 civilians from the North. Amadou Bello, who was the premier of the Northern region, and the party leader, NPC, and the Tafawa Balewa, who was the prime minister, were killed. Then if you come to Lagos, there was Mamalari, Palm, defending the interests of the government at the center. They were taken out too. Then only Lagema, Lieutenant Colonel Lagema, the 4th Battalion commander at Ibadan, was equally killed because he was defending Akitola, that troubled Western region. That was why Lagema was taken out too. But look at that.
Colonel Onegbe was also killed.
Onegbe because of maybe he was a quartermaster general. Maybe he was having conflict with the revolutionaries.
So an Igbo officer was killed.
An Igbo officer was killed. How do you say about that?
So the counter coup did not just target leadership.
No.
It targeted the people.
The people concerned at the upper echelon of the army.
There was massacre in Abeokuta.
There was massacre. Why I'm saying this, if you compare the coup, the January revolution, with Mohammed Murtala coup of July 29, 1960, you see a disparity here.
In your second book, you said the January coup was ideological.
Ideological, because the January 1966 coup, led by Major Kaduna Njogu, was with ideology and focus. They were having ideology and focus. And they were having a direction to take, path to take. But if you look at July 1966 coup, they had no ideology and focus. The coup was there to revenge.
Obasanjo, in this book, My Command, described the killings in the counter coup as senseless killing.
Yes, senseless killing. I describe it in my own new book too.
In chapter 2.
In chapter 2.
Because you quoted this book.
Yes, I quoted this book.
Why did you go for this book?
Because Obasanjo was telling the truth. He was telling the truth that many people don't want to hear. He stated the truth here.
Are you recommending this book to people?
Yes, for history purpose.
Okay.
For history purpose.
The title of this book is My Command, an account of the Nigerian Civil War, 1967 to 1970. A book written by Olusegun Obasanjo. My Command. It will help you understand where we are coming from. You can order your copy from udarabooks.com. Obasanjo said that the killings in the counter coup were senseless. Army officers of Igbo origin were killed in Abeokuta, in Ikeja.
3 of them.
In the north. And northerners and military officers then went to town. And Igbos were targeted. That was what you saw.
Yes.
In Kaduna. Igbo men and women were killed. Even children.
Yes.
That's what you call the pogrom.
Yes.
And because of the pogrom, there was war. Yes. In 1967, you joined the Nigerian army.
Yes.
After you have witnessed the pogrom.
The pogrom, yes.
You joined the Nigerian army during wartime.
Yes.
When did you realize that it was a pogrom? Was it before you joined the army or after you have left the army?
I saw everything. I was a living witness. Then after the war, I decided to write my book.
Why did you join the army to fight Biafra?
To keep Nigeria one. That was the slogan to us. There was no any other slogan rather than to keep Nigeria one.
So by the time you were joining the army, you believed that the Igbo nation was wrong?
Anyway, but later on I discovered that they were not wrong. You know, I was in the trench for 20 months, fighting day and night. 20 months without being posted to the rear. Or transferred from the trench until the end of the war. And I saw how the Biafrans were determined with zeal to fight us. They were fighting for survival. Even it came to a point in 1969 when a lot of soldiers realized that the war was fruitless. It's not the war that only the ordinary people were being killed in the war front, and those who caused the war were not affected. People started to inflict themselves with injury to be taken to the rear, but until Obasanjo came to save the situation and ended the war. If not, and I believe I stated in my book there how Biafra surrender. It was not much of our firepower or anything. It was hunger. It was hunger. It was hunger. Because when we block the Cameroon border through road, Calabar, and we block Port Harcourt through air, Biafra was not having any access to outside world through air, through water, through land. So they were in a desperate situation by then, and they were affected by hunger. I think that factor alone affected the people, the Biafran soldiers on the battlefield. You see, and one thing I jealous Biafran here, I stated in my book, when they were blocked and they were not having access to either weapon from outside world or food, they went into a drawing board, called all their scientists, and they started to produce locally their own weapon to confront us. They confronted us for almost 1 year and some days, because we were rejoicing that after the blockade, the Biafran would give up. But they did not give up. They produced their own weapon to confront us. And I reminded Nigeria that they could have harnessed the resources, human resources, the scientific evolution that took place in Biafra to shape the scope of our military department.
In your book, you mentioned Biafran armored vehicle called Red Devil.
Red Devil.
You saw it in action.
They confronted us more than it was a monster, a dangerous monster.
Locally built.
And it can be compared with the one we imported from Britain and other European countries.
This was in the 60s.
Yes, in the 60s. They developed this. Not that one alone. What about the rocket launcher? They developed it locally. What of the mines that maimed so many of our soldiers, killed so many of our soldiers?
You witnessed the dangers of Ogbunigwe.
Ogbunigwe. I think the sad moment I had was the death of one of my company 2IC called Lieutenant Okpere. You see, when we were advancing towards Afan Power House from Umagbai on the main road, that one was on the top of the mines, and they blew it. It scattered the lieutenant. You see, all his flesh was mangled. No single part of his body could be identified to be buried. You see? So to tell you how dangerous that mine was, it killed so many of our soldiers. And it prolonged the war. What about the grenade? The hand grenade. They produced it. I could remember the fight at Aba Waterside, where they were putting chemical in the bottle and threw to us, killed so many of our soldiers. That was the innovation.
You remember the crossing of Imo River?
Yes. That was the saddest moment of my life on the battlefield.
Can you tell me about it?
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was that time Biafra massacre our soldiers. You see, when we took Aba, I think it was on 4th September 1968, then we were ordered to cross the Imo River. 37 Battalion was ordered to follow Ikotekpene Road to link up with 13th Brigade from Ikotekpene. 31 Battalion, under the command of Captain Issa, was commanded to follow Maya Road to link with the 1st Division. Even we were following them steadily, we pushed them as far as to St. Michael College. And we pinned down there. The second day saw the massive confrontation of Biafran against us. As early as 4 a.m., a machine gun from the Biafran direction beat a staccato rattle. How the Biafran managed to infiltrate our defensive line was a surprise thing to us. They covered the whole rear. They encircled us with a tickling of an eye. They were confronting us fiercely. And then they forced us to withdraw to Aba waterside. That was where we were killers. They were killing us. I think half of the battalion, 37 Battalion, was sadly reduced to half of them. And then 31 Battalion, the same thing happened to them. Almost 200 and something soldiers of the 31 Battalion were killed. You see?
The way Nigerian troops also demolished Biafrans in Bonny. You also encircled them in Bonny at some point.
But that one could not be compared with the loss we recorded at Aba waterside.
Was it complacency on the part of the Nigerian troops?
Well, I can't say it. I can't say it could be. Could be.
When you remember the war, how do you feel?
It was sad. It was sad. I don't think such a thing will happen in this country again. I don't think any sensible person who witnessed the whole course of the war will talk about any war.
But some young persons are ready to fight again.
Nigeria, what about Nigeria itself? What about the politicians? Have they learned any lesson? It's sad, very sad indeed. Our politicians have never learned any lesson at all about the war. They have not learned any lesson.
Politics led to the coup.
Yes.
Massive rigging of elections.
Of elections.
As we speak, we are still talking of rigging of elections.
God. It's even more than the First Republic. More than the First Republic. Vote doesn't count again. Now, the politicians who have money, the highest bidder, they will rig an election and ask you to go to court. And our courts, the politicians, they have hijacked our courts today. It is the court that declares a person winner in a political contest. It's not the masses again, not the electorate. That's the sad aspect of it.
You are experiencing this as a 77-year-old man.
Yes.
And you are pained.
Very painful.
I mean, we don't learn from history.
We don't. And I have to remind Nigerians that there is no country that can survive 2 civil wars. It's going to be a destruction. It's going to be a destruction. They have to learn the lesson. And put aside this Machiavellian politics. They justify the means. Look at what the governors of this country are accumulating today. in those days, we were hearing embezzlement of public funds in thousands, but today in billions. In billions. Probably, who knows, by tomorrow it will reach trillions of naira.
You know, Nzogu's coup speech was talking about those who collect 10%.
10%.
Good for nothing VIP.
Yes.
And they got angry and struck.
Yeah, they struck. They struck.
What do you see if this continues?
Well, to me, there are two options here to take. One could be Nigeria. We have to decide. If we don't want any revolution like Nzogu anymore, we have to decide to give leadership. We have to shift the leadership to the southeast. Leadership must be shifted to the southeast because the injustice is too glaring for everyone to see. Before we went to the war, we were having 3 regions. Igbo people were one of the largest ethnic race in Nigeria, Yoruba and Hausa. But look at the leadership role. The North have taken their fair share enough. The West have taken their fair share. Why? Why? Can Nigeria believe in Igbo leadership? And I'm saying it here. I want you to record it. Because maybe probably I will not be alive tomorrow because of my age. I'm saying here now that if Nigeria continue to deny leadership to Igbo people, then this country will not move forward. Will not move forward at all. Because we are having a race, an Igbo race, that are so intelligent, so industrious, so powerful. We saw them on the war front. We know what Igbo is. They are capable of developing the economy of this country. They are the only people that can develop the economy of this country. They have tested Yoruba, we tested the North. Let us test Igbo people. People say that the fear of Igbo domination. What are they going to dominate? What are they going to dominate? What about the small-scale businesses throughout the whole country? Igbo control it, the economy, and it will be functioning very well. But if you have given them a larger economy, they will develop it for the interest of this country. That is my belief. And I sincerely believe that if the mantle of leadership, political mantle of leadership is shifted to Igbo, within 4 years, the economy of this country will develop. Like Singapore, like Brazil, like India. That is my belief. That is my earnest opinion.
This is your faith in the Igbo nation?
Yes. I'm not an Igbo man. I'm not from the southeast. I'm not from the southwest. I'm from the north.
But Igbo politicians are part of the mess in Nigeria.
No, they are not. You have not given them the leadership.
But they are leading their state.
At the state level? Mm-hmm. No. We are talking about the development, the country development at this time.
But they say charity begins from home.
I don't know how to answer that. But what we are talking about the leadership of this country. The leadership should be shifted to the Igbo people. So why the injustice? Why the injustice?
Peter Obi contested in the last election.
I don't know what was wrong with him. I don't know whether it was
democracy.
I don't know whether he was rejected by the electorate. You know what our electoral system is in this country. I don't know.
Let's go back to the war. You fought with the 3rd Marine Commando.
Exactly.
Led by Colonel Benjamin Adekunle, the Black Scorpion.
Yes.
Why was he called the Black Scorpion?
Well, it was called, to me, From my own perspective, he was so ruthless. He was a ruthless GOC. And secondly, he was a fearless GOC that whoever had in that division. You see, Adekunle, one thing about Adekunle was that he was frequently seen on the battlefront in our trenches. He always demonstrated that skill on the battlefield. He was a fearless officer. You see, most of the GOC that we had were not like him. He was so fearless indeed. But one thing with him was that he put fears into his own soldiers. He came to a point where Adekunle was killing his own troops.
Let me read from your book.
Yes.
Chapter 5 of your book, The Bloody Nigeria-Biafra War.
Yes.
You said Colonel Benjamin Adekunle was the first GOC of the 3rd Marine Commando Division at the beginning of the war.
Exactly.
He was a pragmatic and fearless officer. He earned the nickname of a Black Scorpion to show how dreadful he was to his officers and men.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, among the GOCs during the war, he was the most dreadful commander and courageous on the battlefield.
Yes.
He was frequently seen on the front-line trenches.
Yes.
The colonel was believed to be a supernatural being, as bullets and bombs could not harm him. Supernatural. What do you mean by that?
We believe that Adekunle was supernatural being. Because, in fact, we lay more ambushes to kill him, and he escaped.
Did you say that?
Yes. We laid it. Even at Bonny.
You wanted to kill
I was among those people who lay ambush for him.
You wanted to kill your commander?
Yes, because he was so reckless indeed.
And some of you wanted him out?
Yes, even at Aba.
Tell me more. You planned to take Benjamin Adekunle out of the war?
Yes. Because of his recklessness. You see, what happened was that Adekunle killed his own soldier whimsically, without justification.
What would make him take out his own soldier?
We don't know. He was so dreadful indeed, and he became very reckless, ruthless. In fact, he was so ruthless. Soldiers were not happy about him, although he was courageous. He was courageous. But the way he was killing people in the frontline stages was alarming.
You said his instruction was a decree in itself.
Yes.
Where nobody dared to disobey.
Yes.
As doing so would send the person to his round grave unprepared.
Yes.
The colonel had the reputation of killing his own troops whimsically and without justification. He was considered a supernatural being, indeed a god, in the eyes of the officers and men in the division.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, the colonel was an iron knot nobody could untie.
Yeah, nobody. Because the army headquarters in Lagos, and go on, the head of state, could not tame him. They became helpless. They could not tame him. He became power drunk.
You called him a dictator.
A dictator. Nobody could tame. Nobody. Army headquarters could not tame him. Gowon could not tame him. He was misbehaving like that.
Was he paying you your full salary?
No, he didn't. That was the painful aspect of that war. It was Obasanjo who came to help us. Adekunle was paying us £5 out of our £19. Because a private soldier was paid £19 by then. For over 1.5 years, we were in the trench. He didn't pay us our full salary.
Did you request for your full salary?
We wrote petition to go on, complain to go on, without no avail. It was Obasanjo who came to help us and started to pay us our full salary. And that ginger, the soldiers, whose morale went down to the lowest ebb.
But this was Adekunle that captured Port Harcourt.
Captured Port Harcourt.
Secured the river areas.
We know. In fact, Adekunle, I don't know.
It was a top military strategist.
Top military strategist. Look at what happened. I believe, I don't know. He pushed us to cross to Afikpo. I think I mentioned there.
Yeah.
We embarked on a very dangerous, amphibious operation. 1 mile away of water. With canoe, this local boat, we crossed in the dead midnight, 1 a.m. The whole battalion, 3 battalions, crossed. And that line was not the responsibility of the 3rd Marine Commando to capture. It was the responsibility of the 1st Division, who were advancing from Okigwe side and Unewi side, to capture Afikpo. But Adekunle shifted the responsibility to us. He forced us to cross. And what happened? We lost so many of our soldiers at Afikpo waterside. Lost so many of our soldiers at the Afikpo waterside before we were withdrawn from that operation. You see?
Can you remember what happened between him and Shaibu Ibuna?
Oh, Shaibu Ibunu. Shaibu Ibunu was our hero. He was our hero. Without him, the 3rd Marine Commando Division could have been a toothless bulldog.
Without him?
Without Shaibu. Most of the operation was done by Shaibu. They were pushing us all over the place. He was the leading battalion. He was the commander of the leading battalion.
So why did Benjamin Adekunle try to kill him?
Yes, I could remember in 1969, early 1969, when we withdrew from St. Michael College along my 9, along that Ikotekwene road, because of the Biafran bombardment. You see, they gained upper hand on us, and we have to withdraw because we were not having enough ammunition to fight. So Shaibu ordered us to withdraw, and we crossed to Aba. And then on the 3rd day, the brigade commander, Major Aliu, the 12th brigade commander, Major Aliu, was standing at the upstairs. And Shaibu was guarded by the military police. So he quickly seized their gun to shoot Lieutenant Colonel Aliu, Major Aliu. Then the military police guiding him were so smart, they removed the magazine before he cocked it. His intention was to kill him.
Why?
We don't know.
So they were infighting
among the officers. So the 3rd day, Major Aliu took him to Adekunle court-martial. It's a one-man court-martial. Adekunle court-martial. Because if you have been taken to Adekunle court-martial, I don't think you return alive. Most of 90-something% who have gone to Adekunle court-martial, they were killed. They were executed. So this man was there, and on the day they wanted to execute him, he was brought among the officers. There were majors, Biafran officers too, who were to be executed too, with our own soldiers, our officers. Then when he came to Shaibu, he was taunting him, yelling at him. He told him that you led those soldiers who ambushed him at Bonny, and you wanted to kill him.
And it's true.
And it's true, because I was part of it. I was part of the ambush. So he said, you are going to die today.
How did he know that he was
I know that
ambushed?
he has an intelligent something. Yes, he has intelligence. He has intelligence. His intelligence is all over the place. You see? So he said, nothing will save Shaibu that day. He spoke Igala language fluently.
Shaibu was an Igala man.
Shaibu was an Igala man.
Like you.
Like me. And Adekunle spoke Igala fluently because he's school in Igala land. Then Shaibu told him that his armament, all the weapon, let him go and mobilize all the weapon. That he had no power to kill him. So Adekunle was so furious, he was so angry indeed, and then he seized a pistol and came very close to Shaibu and pointed the pistol muzzle at his forehead and then shot Shaibu.
He pressed the trigger?
Yes, he wanted to kill him immediately because he was shocked for an officer to talk to him like that. He was shocked. He was totally shocked. This is his subordinate of the highest order, a lieutenant, to talk to a colonel in that order. He was shocked.
During wartime?
During wartime. So he wanted to finish Shaibu. And what happened was miraculous. You see, where I was a living witness, when he shot that rifle, that pistol, the canister of the bullet fell down lazily on the ground without hitting Shaibu. Then he was annoyed again, tried the second time, the same thing happened. Then he threw the pistol away and started to slap Shaibu because Shaibu his hand was tied behind his back with wire. So he fell down, kick him for several minutes, and then he asked him to be untied. Then when he untied, he shook Shaibu. He said, "This man is an officer. He's a courageous officer. He's a good officer. You are promoted to captain." That was how Shaibu Ibunu was promoted to captain, and he was posted to 17th Battalion, operating from Ahoda Agis, that ended the war.
So why did the bullet not kill him?
We don't know because human diabolical something. I don't know.
So some of you during the wartime had diabolical means.
Yeah, diabolical means. Diabolical means. Because if there was no diabolical, I don't know how Shaibu could survive that attack. I don't know.
He also survived the Ogbunigwe attack.
It's in my book there.
Yes.
You see, that was the second time he survived. When we were withdrawn from Afikpo after the failed attempt at Afikpo, where our soldiers were massively killed, they withdrew us to Port Harcourt sector of the war at Bori. And that Bori Agis was another tough Agis that Biafran were fighting our soldiers severely. So they drafted Shaibu there, and we were advancing from Umagbai, a village called Umagbai, in our attempt to recapture Powerhouse. Then suddenly, on the main road, there was a bomb blast. Shaibu had already stepped on the bomb. Then the bomb blew up.
I don't like war.
With heavy smoke, covered the whole place. Then we lost hope of his survival. Someone lost hope of his survival. Because no human being could survive that bomb blast.
His 2IC was with him?
His 2IC was with him. So when the dust of the smoke of the bomb blast settled down, then we started to see somebody like Shaibu in a deep hole where this bomb struck. Then Shaibu was standing, and he ordered us not to stop firing. Then we stop firing. We say, was it a ghost? Surprisingly, we saw Salifu standing in the hole, survive with my naked eyes. I've never seen that type of miracle.
What happened to his 2IC?
The 2IC, Second Lieutenant Okwere, they call him from the Midwest. Okwere was his second command. That bomb blast shattered him into pieces.
And they were together?
Yeah, they were together, very close together. Mashed him to pieces. We could not see any of his flesh to be buried. It was mangled, all his body was mangled into flesh. You see?
War is bad.
Had a war, but I started to wonder how a bomb could destroy a human being so badly as that man was. We couldn't see any part of his body that we can bury, but Salifu survived that Holocaust. He survived it.
So there must have been something extraordinary
I
about him.
I don't know. Maybe it could be by God's grace. I don't know, or any other means.
In your book, you said Benjamin Adekunle was instructed to ensure firm control on the continental shelf of Nigeria.
Yes.
In order to effect firm seaward economic blockade.
Yes.
On the Biafran enclave. You said here that the general outline of the military plan was to disembark on Bonny Beach to the north of the town and to quickly block the northern flag towards the coastal areas in order to prevent any reinforcement from the Biafran forces.
Yes.
And that division won the war.
Yes. It was that strategy that brought Biafran to their knees. In fact, if to say Biafran knew that strategy to block them and put a fierce fight, well, the war could have been fiercer than this. Because he made us to advance from Calabar after we disembarked from the sea, from the ship. We started to operate very closely, capture the airport, capture whole world, the cement industry in Calabar, to Anegege, to Oban, rubber estate. We were pursuing them, put them on the run, until we reached Cameroon border. Then we even advanced up to 12 miles away, driving them. Some of them melted into the forest. And then we blocked that road. Our naval ship blocked the other side at Oron. So there was no way the Biafran could get their supply. And we blocked them. That contributed to their surrender.
You remember Alabi Sama?
Yeah, Alabi Sama, yes, I know him.
He was very close to Benjamin Adekunle.
Yes, they are of the same feather.
Of the same feather? How do you mean?
Well, so I read his book. He was challenging Olusegun Obasanjo.
This book, right?
Yes, I read it. He was challenging Obasanjo so much that Obasanjo did not contribute to the downfall of Biafra, that it was he and Adekunle who plotted the strategy. But did they end the war? Did they end the war? When I read this book, I was asking myself, did they end the war and Adekunle? Did they end the war?
But they plotted the strategy.
They plotted the strategy. Yes, I agree with them. That did not end the war. Because Adekunle and Alabi Sama believe in the equipment, not the human resources. They did not take us as human beings.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, because there was no welfare of the soldiers in the trench. no welfare of the soldiers. They did not pay attention to the welfare of the soldiers in the trench. They thought that military equipment, gun and everything could win the war easily. And they did not regard the soldiers in the trench.
Are you saying Isama?
Yes, Isama, yes. He was there with Adekunle.
It was Adekunle's man.
Yes, he was Adekunle's man. Right-hand man. I think he was the staff officer in the Adekunle division there at the headquarters.
You see, this big book that he wrote, some have described it as one of the most authoritative work on the Nigeria-Biafra War. All the strategies were here, the pictures.
Which strategy? Your strategy can be peaceful. What about those who are implementing the strategy?
So
he forgot about the ordinary soldiers in the trench.
You seem to have some grounds to settle with Isama.
I'm not criticizing him anyway. But he was talking about plotting strategy, beautiful strategy. When I read his book, you plotted a strategy without the implementation of that strategy. And who are to implement it? The ordinary soldiers in the trench. And you don't care about their welfare. That was why the war was prolonged. It came to a level, I told you before, from our first discussion. I said the war was prolonged because Adekunle did not pay attention to the welfare of the soldiers.
At some point, the soldiers protested.
They protested that they were not going to fight. In September, around early 1969. And when we refused to move, what happened? Most of the soldiers, especially my own soldiers, they were inflicting themselves self-injury. So because they taken to the rear, the morale of the soldiers fell down to the lowest ebb. But when Obasanjo came, he changed that status.
We'll talk about Obasanjo. Now, we are also recommending this book to you. We are also recommending this book to you by Alabi Sama, The Tragedy of Victory. Alabi Sama's story of the war. The Tragedy of Victory, on the spot account of the Nigeria-Biafra War in the Atlantic Theater. It's one of the biggest books on the war. It contains a lot of pictures, diagrams of the military strategies, letters, different publications. It is quite detailed. You get the book on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. You get a book on udarabooks.com. Or you can order through our WhatsApp numbers. So it's one of the books on the Biafran War. Another book on the Biafran War is this one, entitled Biafran News, Biafra in the News, the Nigerian Civil War Scene from a London news desk. Biafra in the News, the Nigerian Civil War Scene from a London news desk. A book written by Jonathan Derrick. Jonathan Derrick is the author of this book. It is revealing. You get this book on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. We are talking about the military. Look at this archival book. I always call it archival because you can't find a new print anymore. Military Leadership in Nigeria, 1966 to 1979. It's a book written by Major General James Olule. Military Leadership in Nigeria, 1966 to 1979. Classic. When you say classic, it is classic. You can get this on darabooks.com. I have recommended my command to you. by Olusegun Obasanjo, my command. Obasanjo came and ended the war.
Yes.
Obasanjo brought fresh air to the war front.
Yes, exactly.
It was a relief.
Yes, with new strategy and tactics.
Adekunle was removed.
Yes.
Why was he removed?
I know. It was between him, the conflict between him and the head of state. I don't know. I don't know why he was removed.
And when he was removed, the soldiers were happy?
Yes. We're jubilating. We're jubilating in the trench.
You were jubilating?
Jubilating all over the place. We're jubilating. Because somebody who refused to pay us our salary for 1.5 years, they were giving us £5 out of £19. Up till now, some of us who survived that war narrowly have not seen anything.
Was he saving the money?
He said they were saving the money.
So after the war,
we did not get anything. We did not get anything. We did not get anything. Buhari, who was the head of state, and other people who came to be head of the military government, did not pay attention to us. We lost that money. That contributed to the slowdown of our movement in 1969. Maybe that was what the news that got, the intelligence news that information that got to go on before it was changed. Well, I don't know.
So what does Obasanjo bring to the war front?
Obasanjo brought so many things. He brought so many things. Immediately he came, he created a recreational place at Bori camp near Port Harcourt for soldiers to be taken from the trench and rest for about 10 days. As an author of this book, I was one of them who enjoyed that facility.
And you needed that rest?
Yes. Adekunle did not give us any rest until you see that the soldier perished in the trench. But Obasanjo was magnanimous indeed, that you cannot fight the war with equipment alone. The welfare of the soldiers must be taken care of. So he took us there to rest 10 days, and then immediately he started to pay us our full salary. Immediately he assumed office. He started to pay us our full salary. And then there were changes in the front lines.
You said Colonel Olusegun Obasanjo was posted
Yes.
to the 3rd Marine Commando Division of the Nigerian Army as the new GOC.
Yes.
In the middle of June 1969.
Yeah.
He was a master strategist in terms of military operations.
I call him that.
Colonel Obasanjo was also a humane commander.
Very, very.
Who commanded his troop with human face and not a military dictator like Colonel Adekunle.
Yes, yes.
It will be recalled that before Colonel Obasanjo was posted to this division, the morale of the fighting troops fell to the lowest ebb.
Yes.
The fighting troops were not willing to fight the war any longer, as a great number of them were inflicting themselves with injuries to avoid the war front.
Yes.
This was why soldiers in the frontline trenches staged several protests with the slogan, "No pay, no fight."
No fight.
No pay,
no fight.
And you got your pay.
And then we got our pay.
And you continued the fight.
So, yes.
And you won the war.
Well, we won the war. We won the war. But one incident occurred that I will not forget. You see, when Adekunle was posted to us, and he was touring the frontline trenches.
Or when Obasanjo was posted?
When Obasanjo was posted to us, and he was touring the trenches of the 12th Brigade at Aba, Ogbo Hill. He came to the trench where we were. And we quickly planned to take him out.
To take him out?
Yes, we wanted to ambush him. We said maybe he will take the direction of Adekunle, not knowing that he was the person who was coming to help the soldiers to achieve so many things. You see, at that point, that ambush, we were ready, with rocket launcher. I think I was supervising it closely because Salifu gave me that instruction. But he was with us there, so I was with soldiers.
Salifu was a rebel in that camp.
Yes. We removed the muzzle of our gun, the AK-47, to shoot. And when you remove that AK-47 muzzle, it will sound like Biafran guns, rifle.
I see.
The sound. So we stage managed that, then hoping that the Biafran were attacking. Then the colonel, well, I think the colonel was running up and down there, and then Salifu made another to and asked us to dismantle the ambush, and that we should try him first. So we left him. That was how he was saved. You know, he could have been eliminated there.
So
but this is the man who came to help us. He was a humane soldier and officer who helped us and facilitated the collapse of Biafra. And we rested. Within 6 months, the war was over.
So Obasanjo deserved his medal.
Well, no. He was a man. He was my man. He was my man.
Is he still your man?
We were trying to take a wrong decision against him. We thought he was like Adekunle. You see, not knowing that he was an astute soldier.
Some have said that soldiers from the Middle Belt really fought that war.
Yes, we fought. Middle Belt, Jukun, Godo in the south, in the northeast, where we taught.
So you were more in number?
Yeah, we were more in number.
Than Fulani and Hausa soldiers?
No, Fulani and Hausa were not.
So the Middle Belt really fought that war?
We fought that
against
war.
Biafra?
We fought that war. We fought that war. We fought that war. We fought that war.
Not really the Fulani?
No. We fought that war.
Do you regret fighting against the Igbos?
Well, it's to keep the country united.
This is the country that is united.
That is the country,
and you are not happy with
the country that is united. Look at what is happening today.
So did you regret fighting that war?
Yes. Seeing all these things, I'm regretting. I'm regretting a lot. These are the whole things and the mess that Nyogu destroyed in the First Republic. Look at how all these things were rearing its ugly hair in our politics, our body politics today. Look at it. Look at the mess. Yeah. Look at the homogous corruptions that is taking place all over the place. Governor, Airport governor, they call them airport governor now, who could embezzle public fund up to 3, 4, 5, 20, 40 billion of naira. And after his tenure, we see them walking freely on the street. Is that the democracy that we need now? A democracy that vote doesn't count? It doesn't count. We're not looking for that. But my warning to these civilians, they should be careful, because not civilian alone. The civilian, the politician in Agbada, and then the politician in army uniform. I'm referring to the senior army general, all the generals who are retired and they will retire to join their counterpart in politics. But they have to be careful. They have to be careful. The way they are dragging this country to the mud, I think it will come to a level, but you have been warning them. Did they take heed to his advice? This is the man who fought that war and ended the war.
You left the army in 1978?
Yes, 1978. I retired voluntarily.
Voluntarily?
Yes.
Why did you decide to go?
Well, I think I was okay with the army. I saw my patriotism in the war, and then I wanted to get my freedom.
And you left the army, you decided to educate yourself.
Yes. In fact, most of these people did not know that I could educate myself to that level. Before the war, before I joined the army in 1967, I was primary 6. I was having primary 6 certificate. Not secondary school. I did not go to secondary school. Then during the war, something prompted me. I was recording all the events that took place in the war. When we capture, I record these casualties, and I gave it to my dad in the village to keep it. And he kept the whole record. Then when I saw this record, I said, I could write a book. And how could I write a book on this war? Then I said, okay, let me go to school. I registered with the Exam Success College. It's an external course in the Yaba, Lagos. They were sending me lessons. I was in the barracks reading for my GOC, for my GCO level. In 1975, I passed all the subjects. And then 1978, when I retired, I got all my A level. Then I decided, some people say I should go to ND. I said, no. I finished with the war, with the army. So I retired voluntarily, went to university, to BUK, Bayero University, Kano, and studied political science. That was how I left the army. It was a big surprise to many people how my quest for further education landed me into university level without going to the 4 walls of secondary school and higher institution of learning.
And you later found yourself in the civil service?
In the civil service.
Where you served meritoriously?
Yes, as assistant director. And then after that, I decided to test politics.
And you joined the PDP?
Yes, I resigned my appointment and went to contest for the councillorship in Ife constituency in Ankpa local government.
In Kogi State? In
Kogi State. And I won on non-party basis. Was it during Abacha or during Babangida? I won it. That was how I started my political career until I retired from politics. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I have retired from politics. At the age of 77, no strength again.
But you keep writing.
Yeah, I keep writing. I think I finished my this book, The Holocaust of Nigeria-Biafra War. That is my circular book. The last book now that I'm on is the Bible commentary. The Bible commentary is spiritual now. The Bible commentary. I'm writing in Igala language. So that those people who are reading the Igala Bible should understand the Bible very well.
Is it that when people grow older, they become more spiritual?
Yes, maybe, I don't know. But it's the grace of God.
Why?
It's the grace of God.
You know, I noticed that when they are growing older, some draw closer to God.
There are still some old people who are misbehaving. But it's the grace of God. It's the grace of God. If God wants to change you, He will change your entire life. Then He will use you for His purpose. He will use you for His purpose.
Wow.
He will use you for His purpose.
This is the story of the war.
The story of the war.
This is the story of Peter Salifu, his side of the war. You know, some would say, how do we get his book? Don't worry. We'll tell you soon on how to get his books. One aspect of the war that I don't want to leave out is the amphibious operation to cross the river Niger. You were not part of that.
I was not part of it.
But you knew about it.
I knew about it.
And it was a disastrous crossing.
Very disastrous.
Murtala Muhammad was in charge.
Yes.
The reason I'm bringing him back
yes.
To you, he led the counter coup.
Yes, yes.
And this was his division.
Division.
And that amphibious crossing was disastrous.
Disastrous.
How would you assess him?
In fact, I don't know how he planned his strategy to cross. Although I commented in my book there. You see, when they cross the water, the frontline soldiers advanced to the market, Onitsha market, and according to some stories, they were saying they were looting in the market. And what happened was that the Biafrans, is it 2 battalion or something, were led by one major then, went to their rear at the water side and blocked them there. You see, that was a mistake. They did not put enough sentry at the water side there. So when Biafra came there, destroy all their canoe they used for the crossing, destroy it, and they started to inflict heavy casualties on them right from the Onitsha market. They were killing our soldiers. A lot of them, when they pushed them to the water side, there was no way to escape. A lot of them made their Waterloo in the water there. It was a heavy disaster. The casualty was so high indeed, very, very high. They tried another time to no avail. Maybe because they crossed to Ida before they were successful.
So he eventually captured Onitsha.
He captured Onitsha.
Before he was replaced by Colonel Jallo.
Jallo, yes.
And he later became the head of state.
Later became the head of state.
You were in the army when he became the head of state?
I was there now. Well, after the war. After the war.
Some of those that planned the counter coup with him also murdered him.
Yes.
Bukasuka Dinka
Dinka
was part of the counter coup.
Yeah, counter coup, yes.
And he was the one that killed Murtada Mohammed.
Yes.
Power struggle in the military.
Power struggle. And one of unfortunate thing that we look for this military intervention coups in Nigeria, a lot except that one of Njogu, the revolution of Njogu. Apart from Njogu, all the military coups that we witness in this country are bourgeois coup, capitalist coup. You see, they came into power to protect their own class interests. They did not have any ideology, no focus, no direction.
And Nigeria is still struggling.
It's still struggling. You see, no focus, no direction, no ideology. No ideology.
So the last 2 books we are recommending for this class is this one, The Untold Story of the Nigeria-Biafra War, a chronological reconstruction of the events and circumstances of the Nigerian Civil War. It's a book written by Dr. Luke Nnaemeka Aneke. I love this book. You know, from the title, chronological reconstruction, date by date, telling you events as they happened, newspaper reports, who did what at what time. It's like the diary of the war. It's like the diary of the war. You should have this book in your house. It's like a diary of the war. July 28, 1967. Biafra holding firm at most fronts. The author compiles reports of what happens that day, newspaper report, radio report from the BBC, press statement from Biafra and the Nigerian side. Monday, July 31st, 1967, Biafra seizes Shell BP assets, You know, this was at the early stage of the war. You go, August 14, 1968, delegates in Addis Ababa failed to agree on relief operations. You should have this book in your study, for your children, for your friends. 771 pages. Understand the war, understand the future. This was the first book I read on the Civil War that I sat down to read. Because fortunately my father had a copy, so as a young boy I picked it up. I still have the book in my study. It's one of the oldest books in that study today. This is a new cover page. The Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War, the Aftermath. Written by General Alexander Madibu. You know, some said he was the army chief of the Biafran side. But Ojukwu was the commander-in-chief. The Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War, the Aftermath. This is the last book we are recommending in this class. Warrant Officer Salifu retired. Which of the books do you want to read? Which of them do you want to take?
I want to read that Njogu by Obasanjo.
Okay, so that is what you are picking.
Obasanjo, I think Njogu by
Nzogu
Obasanjo.
by Obasanjo. So this is your copy.
How much are you?
No,
okay.
That is your book.
Okay, thank you so much.
That is what you are getting from the class.
I love her. I love Njogu.
You love Nzogu?
I love Njogu. He's my man.
He's your man?
He's love Njogu. They describe him from many aspects of his life. He was a socialist to the core, a revolutionary, a patriotic person, nationalist. Obasanjo is a Pan-African hero, and one captain in 1966 from the north. His identity was not provided through my research. His own Njogu was loved by the military officers, his own contemporary officers in Kaduna and other ranks. They love him. They loved him. So Njogu was not an ethnic bigot, as people erroneously believe. He's a patriotic person and a nationalist to the core.
He executed his own part of the coup.
Yes, he executed.
But some others did not execute their part.
That is the aftermath of any revolution.
Did you regret that coup failed?
Well, it could have succeeded. By now, Nigeria could have developed.
How are you sure?
I know they developed.
There were military coups in other West African states.
Yes.
There was military coup in Ghana.
I know.
In Burkina Faso.
I know.
In Egypt.
Do they have any ideology? This coup that we are talking about. They don't have any ideology.
The Sankara coup had ideology in Burkina Faso.
They have ideology like Njogu.
The Sankara coup was ideological.
Njogu coup had an ideology and focus.
Sankara was focused. Unfortunately, he was murdered.
Maybe. But I know of Njogu. Out of the whole military coup in this country, Njogu coup was the only coup that had an ideology and focus.
As we go, they've said that the worst democracy is better than the best military government. You agree?
Well, yes. Yes. Yeah, but in a situation where vote doesn't count in a democracy, how do we call that democracy? How do we call that type of democracy? I mean, I don't know. I have to go back to what I have discussed. I have to make my call. I have to call on Nigerians. I'll call on Nigerians not to allow Igbo to go away. And I seriously mean it. If Nigeria wants to develop, We need Igbo, not Igbo. Igbo don't need us. They don't need us. We need them seriously to develop this country.
Do you think they will go away?
No, yes. No, I will, because when you start pushing people, then there will be a time they will strike.
Do you think they will strike?
But I don't want any civil war again. Because no country can survive 2 civil wars. And my prayer is that one day an Igbo man will take the leadership, the mantle of leadership of the country. An Igbo man who has character, as Obasanjo always said, like Njogu, will emerge.
Do you think?
And if we don't make any conscious effort to recruit leadership into our democratic process, then a military can come up. But we don't need a military. We don't need military, except any military took over that will look like Njogu revolution.
Should Tinubu release Nnamdi Kanu?
I said, why are you holding Nnamdi Kanu? For God's sake. I don't know why the subsequent Buhari held him. Why? Because he propagated the ideology of Biafra. What about Sunday Igboho? Igboho, how they call him? From the west, from southwest.
Buhari checked him too.
They brought him from outside, captured him from Benin, brought him to this country. Where is he today? He's a free man walking on the street. His own offense is more than Nnamdi Kanu. Why should you hold Nnamdi Kanu? If we need peace in this country, release Nnamdi Kanu. He's not supposed to be detained. When the court adjure him to be innocent, and he still hold him in captivity, and that is the democracy we are talking about. That is the democracy we are talking about, where the rule of law is not obeyed, where Nigerians, the leaders, are selecting the rule of law to obey, and not the one they detested. No, I don't believe it. Let the government release Nnamdi Kanu as a way of reconciliation. Because we need Igbo people to develop this country. And I continue to say it. That's my belief. I fought that war. And I stayed in the train for 20 good months, fighting day and night. I know who are Igbo. I know them. I'm not from the southeast. I'm not from the southwest. And I'm not from the south. I'm from the north. But let Nigeria give the leadership to Igbo people. That's my concern.
Peter Faruna Salisu, thank you for featuring on State Affairs.
Thank you so much.
I've been discussing with the author of the book, The Bloody Nigeria-Biafra War, an eyewitness account of the war 1967 to 1970 from the Frontline trenches. He just completed his second book entitled The Holocaust of the Nigerian-Biafra War 1967 to 1970, My Memories from the War Front. I am Edmondo Pilo. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.